Hello, and welcome back in for another interview. I'm John Davis, your host and Director of Field Operations for Major League Football, or MLFB. Today, we're featuring the fourth and final head coach to be named for Major League Football's inaugural season, Coach Earnest Wilson III. Coach Wilson joins the league with over 32 years of experience. He's coached at every level of college football, in the Arena League, and completed 3 NFL internships. I'll let Coach Wilson discuss his experience in detail, but highlights include stops at Allegheny College, where they won the 1990 Division III National Championship, University of Maine, New Mexico State University, as well as head coaching stops at Savannah State University, Elizabeth City State University, where Coach Wilson was named the CIAA Conference Coach of the Year, and most recently, Defiance College in Ohio. I'm thrilled to introduce Coach Earnest Wilson III. Coach Wilson, first of all, welcome to the league and welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
I'm glad to be here, John.
Well, if you would, give our fans and some of the folks that are interested a little bit about your background and kind of how you came to be in this position to help grow this Major League Football developmental league, as it were.
Well, I have a vast background, as you say, and said, and I'm just real excited to be here, number one. I started out 32 years ago, coaching at a little school called Allegheny College in Pennsylvania, where I thought originally I was going to be just an administrator, and ended up helping coach football and being a receivers coach there. And 24 games later, 2 years span, we were number one in the nation and won the national championship. So from there, you're kind of hooked. And I went on over to work for Kirk Ferentz, that's at Iowa, but he was at University of Maine, and then go over to Joe Paterno and have a chance to work at Penn State. And in the meantime, working for Ted Marchibroda and Dennis Green and Tony Dungy, Willie Shaw, who's David Shaw's dad. So I had a eventful my first 5 years, and then I went on over to HBCU football, where I got my first shot at Alabama A&M, and worked for a guy named Reggie Oliver. If you ever saw the show We Are Marshall, he's the quarterback in it, and it's a true story. And unfortunately, he passed away, and I worked for some other good coaches along the way. And then I had the opportunity to be a arena ball football coach. Had a chance to, and my first year in the indoor league, we were able to go to the playoffs. And next year, you're going over to, the Arena 2, which I was with the Carolina Rhinos and was successful and worked for David Shearer and Carl Shearer and David, I'm trying to think of his name, NBA commissioner, David Stearns. And I worked for them in arena ball. Then I went over to Jacksonville and worked for vice president of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I know I'm saying basketball guys, but these guys were running arena leagues. So went back to college, then went and worked for Hal Mumme and their air raid offense to finish number one in the country. Then got a chance at where everybody's hearing right now, Jackson State, and finished number one in the country in offense. Myself as an offensive coordinator, had an opportunity in 2015 to be a head coach for the first time in college in Division I, and that was Savannah State. And went on that from there to Elizabeth City State, which I was coach of the year there. And finally, I came here to Defiance College, just thinking I was going to take a break, come home to Ohio, see mom, and ended up being the head coach here this past season.
Well, that's outstanding. I love that progression. And as with many coaches that I've had the pleasure of knowing, there's always a little bit of secret sauce that goes into success, but a lot of that has to do with the foundation that's built in those relationships you talked about. If I'm an athlete and I'm out there hoping to get a chance to play pro ball, and I see this Major League Football developmental league, and I end up on a team with Earnest Wilson, what are my expectations as an athlete in terms of what you bring to the table with all that experience you talked about? What should I expect when I step on the field as far as your approach to the game of football?
Well, first, and I forgot to say this, and this will lead into the question you're asking, but last spring, I was in the spring football league, which we won the championship. I was under Hal Mumme. I actually met our vice president of operations, Mike McCarty, there. And I helped him with getting the personnel for our league, the Major League Football. And that's what I'm here to do. Number one, I'm here to help young men develop not only to be great football players, great men, and I help them be able to transition either from playing a couple more years or so to probably and be great fathers, but transitioning out of football. And so that's what I'm here to do. I want to be a great all-around person. That's what you should expect from me, your best coaching that you can get. And then hopefully I can win a championship with you.
That would be awesome. I know the piece of this that a lot of people don't necessarily recognize, and I've talked with a number of the staff and the coaches, is that, there's some of the major objectives of a developmental league, and certainly for Major League Football, are to get the instruction and the technique development as an athlete and as a football player, but also to get the exposure. When you look at what you want to accomplish, there's a piece that obviously rides on the development of the players, but it also revolves around the development of coaches. And you've been blessed to work for some greats that you just went through, and we talked a little bit about in the open. What about your perspective on how you want to bring your staff along and develop those coaches as well? Because obviously part of our charter is not just, as a developmental league, is not just to develop players, but also the coaches. How do you see that rolling out, Coach Wilson?
Well, I want to also bring on the best coaches to help the players. Number one, to me, is the human person all around. I say it like that. But I want to be able to help out the players first. So I want to bring the best coaches that's going to pay attention to detail, really study the players, make this a science, make sure that what they're working on, that they're going to get the best out of their scientific experiment, and make sure that they're going to be thorough at what they do. And that's what type of coaches I'm looking for. And from there, I want to really help these guys as we expand to be able to go into other roles around the Major League Football, like head coaching or coordinating. And that's what I want to be able to do. And if it's a step higher, it's a step higher, but I want to be there for them also.
As far as game management and practices, again, going back to, if I'm a player that's recruited by Coach Earnest Wilson, what should I look for in terms of the style of play, the state of play, how you're going to approach, executing the game and so on?
Well, number one, we're going to be very organized when we go out on the field. There's going to be a lot of from the meetings to the walkthroughs to finally making sure that we're practicing at game speed and practice. We're going to know our assignments. I always say the 4 A's. You're going to know the alignment, the assignment, the adjustment, and you're going to come with the right attitude, because this is your job, or you want this to be your job. So that's what I think that you should be ready for, be prepared for, to be able to tackle all of that. And then also, like you said, we want to be able to do everything from the community, working in the community and being part of that, so they can handle themselves in business situation, but also being a major part of the community.
In terms of the path that you walked, when you look back on the years that you coached, and you talked about it pretty sequentially, as far as from the beginning at Allegheny all the way through what you've been doing most recently, how would you use that experience and that progression that you went through in your growth as a coach to bring along these players, as far as on the field with the players themselves, from what you've seen at the different levels and how you interact with and train athletes at all those various levels, to include the internships you did, with the NFL, and seeing how that little bit different perspective in terms of coaching grown men, not college athletes, a little bit different approach. But how do you walk the players through that progression? And from your mind as a coach, what do they need to know, and how do they need to approach that from a practice and game standpoint?
Well, I think you got to come in with a workman-like attitude from the start. It's not in college, it's different, because I think that college athletes are allowed to get away with some things. Well, like we said, we're trying to, even though it's a developmental league, we're trying to put a great product out there. So we must understand that there's some hardworking people that pay their money to come see the games, and they want to see a great product. They want to be excited about the product that they're watching. You take great pride in your work, and you take great pride in your skill. And in the end, you'll also go to that next level And that's how you got to look at it every day when you go out there. You're going to really put on a great product and take great pride in your work. And so I think that's going to be something that you're going to see in our program and also help out throughout.
Coach Wilson, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight. I appreciate not only the experience that you bring to the game in terms of what you've done as a coach, but also the approach that you're taking, because I think it's going to benefit the young men that are on the team as well as the coaching staff that is employed on the team that you coach. We're really proud to have you on board and excited about getting the season started.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.